Welcome back to my channel. It's been quite a week. I've been going through some stuff. It's also finals. Things in my personal life have been happening. Things with school have been happening. It's just a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's Taurus season though now. I'm hoping that that will bring a nice stable energy to my life versus Aries season, which is obviously like passionate and fiery and like more kind of all over the place. This is just me getting into astrology though, which we don't really need to do because I am in no way an expert. But that's just kind of where my head is at right now. I was like, let me sit down on the floor and film a video because it feels right. I want to be grounded. I want to pretend that I'm doing my makeup in 7th grade in front of the mirror. You know what I'm saying? We all used to do that, right? Sit in front of our mirror in our room. It's just nice, you know what I mean? Sometimes the floor feels right. So that was just me rambling about random things that are not important. The video today is going to be me doing my eyebrows. You can't really see them that well all the time lately because I do have bangs. Ugh, I'm doing the annoying like internet person thing where I'm like, oh, I had so many questions about this. Just everyone in the world wanted to know. So many questions. You've all been asking me. It's so annoying, but it is kind of true. I get a lot of questions about what products I use on my eyebrows and how I do them in general. So I thought that it would be nice to film this video so that anyone who's interested can watch me do my brows. I also think as a redhead, there's a lot of times when it's hard to find the right brow product because the colors that are made for redheads are just trash. They're way too orange or way too red or even like burgundy sometimes. It's really not a good situation for redheads trying to find brow product. This is also for anyone who wants to find new brow products or new ways to do your eyebrows because I feel like I do my eyebrows in kind of a unique way. I don't really see a lot of other people doing their eyebrows precisely the same way that I do. So hopefully it's helpful for anyone who's like me and doesn't have a lot to work with. My eyebrows are not super thick. They're not very dark. Like I really have to do quite a bit to get them to the point that they are now where they're like a little bit fluffed out and also kind of carved on the tail. I will link all of the products that I've used for my brows in the description box below for anyone who's interested, as well as the ones that I talk about in the end of the video that are just like color recommendations and product recommendations that I don't use in the video but that I do like. So yeah, all that information will be down there for you guys. And with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the video. I always do my eyebrows as the first step in my makeup routine. Obviously you'll see this if you keep watching, but I always start out my brows in the beginning and then finish them up at like the very end of my makeup. That will all make sense once you see my process. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna start out with my headband. Usually I would have primed my face by now, but I don't feel like it. Also, before I get started doing that, I'll just go ahead and tell you guys, the way that I shape my brows is with a brow razor and with tweezers. I've never had my brows like waxed or threaded or anything like that. I just like to go in and do it myself. Personally, for me, I like to just clean up underneath here and make sure that there's no hairs beneath like the bottom of my eyebrow tail and everything. I also like to take the eyebrow razor and like shave up like that so that my brow tail is a little shorter and I can make it go up at a little bit of an angle with brow product. As you can see as well, when I raise my forehead like this, I have a muscle in my forehead that kind of goes at a weird shape. And so this eyebrow, the hairs don't grow the same as this eyebrow. Like we all have a good eyebrow, right? This one's mine. The hairs on this one grow up straight. The hairs on this one grow up at an angle. So it's given me problems throughout the years, but I figured out ways around it and ways to make them match. The first thing that I always do is I will use a tinted brow gel. Now you could use a clear brow gel if you wanted to, but for me, and I'm sure for a lot of like fellow redheads, I need something to make them stand out a little bit more and define them because my eyebrows, they have a little bit of pigment to them, but they're not that dark. The product that is probably my favorite for red hair is the Benefit Gimme Brow. This cute little guy here, and this is in the shade 3. I don't know if you can see that. I find that this is just the perfect tone for my hair. I would say it's like a medium brown color. I'm having a little bit of a hard time getting the exposure right so that you can really see the color of this, but for me, I'm just gonna quit because it doesn't want to work. It's just a really nice, warm, light brown, and that is what I find works the best. That being said, I actually have not been using this one as much lately. I've been using the Meloway Brow Creation Gel. I don't know if you can see that. My exposure just really doesn't want to cooperate today. I'm gonna hold it back here so you can kind of see. This is the Meloway Brow Creation Gel in the shade, it doesn't say on here, but I'm like 99% sure that it's the shade Dirty Chai. Now, this was a little bit too dark for me at first. Now that I've used a bit of it and it doesn't have as much product on the wand, it's not so bad. I've been using this because I really like it and because I don't want to waste product, right? I don't like to just keep using the same thing and let things sit in my drawer. I've been trying to use it because I have it. I would say the Benefit one is my favorite, but this is the one I've been using lately and it works almost just as good. The color is just a little bit less of my perfect match. So I'll go ahead and take that through my eyebrows. Honestly, I do it pretty haphazardly. I just run it through. That is probably the easiest step. Next thing that I will do, because I like to carve out my brows, is I will use a concealer and a concealer brush. One that I find works really well is the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer. This is their matte concealer. I don't know if they have a creamy one, but this is just the one that I use. And I really like this Wet n Wild brush. This is a Bretman Rock Wet n Wild concealer brush. My exposure is being really temperamental, so if I just hold this up in front of my face, you can kind of see the brush. It's just a nice, flat, sharp-tipped concealer brush. So what I'll do is just dot some along here. Then I just go in with the brush and carve it out. So I'll just like kind of get product on the brush from my eyelid area and then get right up underneath the brow hairs. And on that brow tail, I like to lift it as much as possible. Make it go up in it that way sort of direction. And I'll go ahead and just like square it off at the end. I also try not to let there be too much concealer in the underneath like inner area of the eyebrow, because for whatever reason for me that ends up looking like cakey and weird at the end of the day. And doing the same thing on the other side, just carving it out and getting as close up to the brow hairs as possible. I like doing the squared off thing in the center. One, because it just gives me the shape that I like, but two, because then I can compare whether or not this inner corner of my eyebrow is higher than this inner corner of my eyebrow, and we can make them as symmetrical as possible. I just find that for me, since I do have pretty asymmetrical eyebrows, that is the best way to get them to match up. So that's pretty much what I do for the first step. Then I will take just any foundation brush and kind of pat it out, blend out around some of those like edges. It's okay if you mess up the carved out area, because we're gonna go back in and touch them up with brow powder later. And that's really where the true artistry comes in. Okay, that is all that I do for the first portion of my eyebrows. So I'm gonna go throw the rest of my makeup on and then pick back up when I'm using my eyebrow powder. Do you ever do your makeup and you're like, I could have chosen to look more natural today, but that's not where my heart took me. I don't know where along the line I decided I wanted to wear peach eyeshadow, but it felt right. Anyways, we're back. My makeup is almost done. I've done pretty much every step except for setting spray and mascara and obviously my eyebrows. One little tip that I feel like is necessary to throw out there, I always do my eyebrow highlight before I finish my eyebrows. I find that it kind of messes up the rest of the eyebrow product that I'm gonna put on. So what I'm gonna do now is use a brow powder and an angle brush. Now I'm gonna try to show this again. The exposure is probably gonna be weird. It is being weird. It's this really nice angle brush from Anastasia. Again, I apologize. I'm not able to show things as well as I would like to today. It's this awesome angled brush from Anastasia. The number has rubbed off of it. I will try to link it below. I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, it's the number 14 brush. Honestly, it's the best eyebrow brush that I've ever used. I've got many other angle brushes and there is not a single one that is as good as this brush. What's different about it, I think, is that the hairs are more of a natural texture versus a synthetic brush texture. There's just something about it that's great, and it's incredibly fine tipped. So I'm gonna use that, and then I'm also going to use Anastasia Brow Powder Duo. It's this guy right here in the shade Chocolate. Now this is super messy and I've had it for a really long time. I've had the same one for like 4 years. That's a really long time. It's for sure expired, but it still works great. I will usually go in with the darker shade, which is this one here. Just get a little bit on my brush, just a bit. I'll just kind of dip it in, tap it off. I don't need too much, you know? We don't want to go in too heavy at first. And I will just brush up the eyebrow hairs so that they're kind of in the place that I want them to be. And I'll just kind of go in and start shaping out my brow tail as the first step. Get a little bit more product as you need to. And I will create a line that is kind of going up a little bit. I'm gonna create another line at the top of the brow tail and just connect those two at the end and kind of fluff that powder together to complete my little brow tail. Sometimes it takes a little more effort than that, but that one came together pretty easily. Getting a little bit more product again, I'm gonna start working on the inside of the brow. So for this one, because this is my brow where the hairs grow up at like a weird angle, they don't grow straight up, they grow up like pointing to the right. I will start on the bottom sometimes, just making some hair-like strokes very lightly, and then I will make some that are going up at a little bit of an angle so it just looks natural with my eyebrow. Then in the inner corner where there's not really any eyebrow hairs, I will create some. I like to go in and just lightly flick up some hair strokes, and I'm not going directly in with the brush. I'm honestly using like the side of the brush, and for whatever reason that helps make really fine brow-like strokes. This brow's almost done, but I just want to make sure that it's all blended together well and go in just a little further with it. That looks pretty good to me. I have one rando hair stroke that I did by accident that got a little high up, so I'll just take my concealer brush and blend that down, and I'll also take it and just soften out that edge. I'm gonna do the same exact thing on the other side. I really do focus most of that pigment on the very end of the brow tail, since that's where I'm creating my eyebrow, more so than just filling it in. Spoolie is honestly your best friend. Like, it helps me blend everything out, see where I need to add more pigment. Now I'm going in the inner corner. And I try not to do the hairs just straight up. I try to do some going this way, I try to do some going that way, and a few that are more straight up, just because brow hairs don't really grow completely straight up most of the time. They're gonna be going like every which way. So you wanna do that just to make it look a little bit more natural. Again, even though we saw how I started and there's nothing natural about these eyebrows. Then I'm gonna do the same thing I did over there, just kind of pat that out with the concealer brush to blend it and make sure nothing is looking too harsh. I have completed my eyebrows, so let me go throw the rest of my makeup on and we will wrap up the video. All right, I went ahead and threw the rest of my makeup on, and now we're here to wrap up the video. I want to talk about a few products that I didn't use, but I think are good for anyone who has red hair. I know for me, I always love hearing recommendations for things like that. This one I mentioned earlier, obviously the Benefit Gimme Brow. This is a great tinted brow gel. It's probably my favorite one just because the color matches the best. Again, that's in the shade 3, and I definitely recommend anything from Benefit in the shade 3 for redheads. I also love the Meloway Brow Creation Gel. It's a pretty good color for me. I use it all the time. So yeah, those are the two brow gels that I really like. I know what's not right about my face. I just realized that I didn't do my fake freckles because I didn't have this. Fun fact, I use this brow product to do my freckles. I'm gonna go do that, and then I'm gonna come back to talk about this. Okay, I feel like myself now. It's not that big of a difference, but I was like, why does my face not look the way it normally does? It was because I didn't do my freckles. As far as brow powders go, this is my very favorite one. I love it so much just because the color is perfect for me. That is the one that I usually use, and then the lighter shade here, I'll use that sometimes. It's a little bit too red for me. So if you have redder eyebrows, that might work really well for you. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this earlier, but just in case, this is the shade Chocolate. So that's the one that I would most recommend for redheads in terms of a brow powder that's gonna match your eyebrows really well. That being said, I've also used brown eyeshadows in the past. That one you do have to play around with just because every brown eyeshadow is gonna be a little different. So you can play around with that just based off of the different like chocolatey browns that you have in different eyeshadow palettes to see which one matches your hair or eyebrows the best. For a really long time, I used the Morphe 350 palette. There were just a few really good browns in there that worked great for me to use as eyebrow powder. They were just the perfect, like, medium reddish brown tone. As far as eyebrow pencils go, everyone loves the Anastasia Brow Wiz and then Brow Definer Stylus. These I don't use super often just because I find that I love brow powders to really fill them in. For anyone who is wanting a brow pencil product, I really like Brow Wiz, specifically in the shade Soft Brown. I also like the Brow Definer, also in the shade Soft Brown, or you could go for Chocolate, but I find that Chocolate in the brow pencils specifically from Anastasia is just a little bit too dark for me. Another good one is the Goof Proof Brow Pencil by Benefit. This is also in the shade 3. Oh, another color from Anastasia that I do feel like it can be really good for redheads is the shade Caramel. So I'm gonna swatch this so you can sort of see. This is the Brow Definer. And then we also have the Brow Pen. Like, it's got a little bit of that yellowy warm undertone to it. That's a really good shade too if you find that maybe chocolate or soft brown don't work for you. So yeah, that's a good roundup of products that I suggest and different ways to find colors that will match your brows if you are a redhead. And just in general, some good different brow products to try no matter what your hair color is. Yeah, so all of that being said, that concludes this video. Let me know if you've got any questions, comments, or concerns. Feel free to comment down below or message me on Instagram. I am over there at mua.lydia. That's the best place to reach me. And I'm also over here every Friday. Again, hopefully this is coming out on a Friday. We'll see what I can make happen in the next few hours as far as editing this video goes. If it's not a Friday though, my plan is to be back next Friday. So I will see you guys then. Like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I will catch you guys on the next one.